Yeah. Point Izzy, point black. Now today we're going to check out Donald Trump, what he has to say, let the president speak, and let's hear his words. Is it
Step to the right. You're looking forward to the indicator? Yes, I am. Okay. Thank you very much. This is a continuation of the single greatest witch hunt of all time. We have a rogue judge who rules that properties are worth a tiny fraction, 1/100th, a tiny fraction of what they actually are. We have a racist attorney general who's a horror show who ran on the basis that she was going to get Trump before she even knew anything about me. She used this to run for governor. She failed in her attempt to run for governor. She had virtually no polling. She came back and she said, well, now I'll go back to get Trump again. And this is what we have. It's a scam. It's a sham. Just so you know, my financial statements are phenomenal. They are actually less in terms of the numbers used than the actual net worth. The actual net worth is substantially more. No bank was affected. No bank was hurt. They don't even know why they have to be involved. And they've so testified. They can't believe that they're involved because they were paid back on time. There were no defaults. There were no problems. And it was like a perfect client. In the meantime, people are being murdered all over the sidewalks of New York. There was no victim here. The banks were represented by the best, biggest, most prestigious law firms in the state of New York, actually in the country. Some of the biggest and best law firms, in all cases, the biggest and best law firms. That's who represented them. The banks got back their money. Again, there was never a default. There was never a problem. Everything was perfect. There was no crime. The crime is against me because we have a corrupt district attorney, but we have a corrupt attorney general. And it all comes down from the DOJ. They're totally coordinated this in Washington because I'm the leading candidate. I'm leading Biden by 10 points. And I'm leading the Republicans by 50 and 60 points. That's pretty much, they say over. I never accept that, but they say it's over. This has to do with election interference, plain and simple. They're trying to damage me so that I don't do as well as I'm doing in the election. Our country's gone to hell. A country that's in decline, serious decline. We have a man running our country who has no clue, doesn't know what he's doing, and you know it better than anybody because you have to cover him. What they've done with open borders, what they've done with interest rates and taxes, it's a disgrace. So what we have here is an attempt to hurt me in an election. It's an attempt to hurt me in an election. This never happened before, where President of the United States leaves office and gets indicted. And the reason I got indicted was that I ran. If I didn't run, I'd be sitting right now at a beach like Biden does every time, even though he's supposed to be working. So very simply put, it's a witch hunt. It's a disgrace. We have a corrupt attorney general in this state. You see how she does? This trial was railroaded and fast-tracked. This trial could have been brought years ago, but they waited till I was right in the middle of my campaign. The same with other trials and indictments. It's all run by DOJ, which is corrupt in Washington. Everything goes through them. They're all corrupt people. Frankly, our country is corrupt. And that's one of the reasons I'm running. We're going to straighten it out. They have one property that's worth anywhere from 50 to 100 times what this judge put down as a value. Put down a value $18 million, and the property's probably worth, could be anywhere from 50 to 100 times more than that. And a lot of those numbers could even be low. We have other properties, the same thing. So he devalued everything. I didn't even put in my best asset, which is the brand, in terms of value. Coca-Cola, take a look at their value. They have a value. The value of their brand is more than everything else put together. My brand is extremely valuable. I didn't even use it in my financials. If I wanted to build up a financial statement, I would have built it up by using brand in addition to everything else. We have the greatest properties. We have among the greatest properties in the world, and I have to go through this for political reasons. This judge is a politician. He comes out of the clubs. He's running unopposed. The reason he's unopposed is because he's getting Trump. They always run opposed. He's getting Trump. The bosses say, don't run against this guy. He's doing great. He's getting Trump. But he overplayed his hand, and he should be investigated for what he's done. What he did in undervaluing these properties is a disgrace to our nation. This shouldn't be a case. One other thing. We have a clause in the contract which tells, essentially, buyer beware. The contract is very, very, if you take a look and you speak to the banks, and you will, I hope you speak to the banks, because the banks got paid in full. I hope you speak to the banks. But we have a clause in the contract, it's like a buyer beware clause. It says when you take a look at the financial statement, don't believe anything you read. This is up front. Don't believe anything you read. Some people call it a worthless clause because it makes the statement and anything you read in the statement worthless. It says go out and do your own research, go out and do your own due diligence. You have to study the statement carefully. Do not believe anything. In fact, it's so strong that people read it and they don't even accept it. They don't even want it. They don't even use it. It's called a disclaimer clause. It's very common. If you put it in,
Do you know the U.S. Solar Company's nasty little secret? It turns out if you live in New York, they have to give you solar panels.
if you put it in, if you don't have time to do statements, or even if you do have time, people like to have it. This is what's called a full disclaimer. We disclaim the financial statements. But even with a full disclaimer, which immediately takes you out of any fraud situation and any litigation. And by the way, when the Attorney General found out about the disclaimer clause, she said, that's okay, let's go forward anyway. It's good publicity. These are corrupt people we're dealing with, the most corrupt people. We have a great company. I built a great company. It's got tremendous value. It's got some of the greatest real estate assets in the world. And now I have to go before a rogue judge as a continuation of Russia, 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 as a continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time, and I don't think the people of this country are going to stand for it. If I weren't leading in all the polls, or if I weren't running, I wouldn't have any of these cases. I wouldn't be seeing you this morning, but I'll be seeing a lot of you, because this is a horrible thing that's happening to our country, and we've got to get it straightened away. So we'll go in and see our rogue judge, and we'll listen to this man, and I think most people get it. People are getting it. I can tell you the voters getting it, because every time they give me a fake indictment, I go up in the polls, and that's never happened before. But this is a disgrace, and you ought to go after this Attorney General, because she's turning off everybody from coming in. You know, I don't know if you take a look at the outflow of business. Businesses are fleeing New York because of horrible, horrible attorney generals and judges like we have. They go to other places where they can be treated fairly and with respect. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
As you see, Trump laid it on the line, you know what I'm saying? Trump said it exactly to what's going on. You know what I'm saying? In more ways than one, when you look at the situation, you know, they're charging Trump with all these different criminal charges, but one thing nobody's really looking at is the fact that the charges in which they're bringing up against Trump, even in his personal overstanding of business, you know what I'm saying, it still shows an attack on a political opponent, a president, in all ways. You know what I'm saying? When you really look at it, when you really look at it, you're really looking at that in all ways. You know what I mean? As we see. We see it in all ways, because their attack is on Donald Trump in all ways, and ever since the election been going on, the complete attack on Trump and everything to do with Trump, based on all his charges or whatever charges they bring against him, based on they're falsifying an attack. When have you ever seen an attorney general go after a president or a standing president or even a retired president to say that she's going after him for his financial statements? You know what I'm saying? That in itself speaks for itself. That's an attack and a criminal act in itself. You know what I'm saying? They talking about treason and insurrection, but the insurrection on what we seen happening to Donald Trump is an insurrection in itself. You know what I'm saying? So people have to start looking at that. You're looking at only one side of the situation in the criminal attack on Donald J. Trump. You know what I'm saying? A political criminal attack on Donald J. Trump. But what you're not looking at is that political attack on Donald J. Trump turns out to be, when you look at it from the other side of the aisle, or from the other side, even from our side, looking at their side or any side at all in the matter, you know what I'm saying, which should not be, you still see an insurrection by the Demon Democrats in all ways. Even when you look at the rush on the White House, it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? That was done by the Demon Democratical concoctional schemes. You know what I'm saying? To to discredit this same president. You know what I'm saying? And then when you look at most of what went on, you see a whole lot of falserism in it, and many leading back to the Demon Democrats. So how is that not an insurrection in itself again? And then when you look at even past that, you look at the same thing when it comes to his financial statement, when it wasn't his financial records, you know what I'm saying? When it wasn't that, it was Alan Bragg's sitting up there saying the same thing. Oh, pulling out the black card. All black people, notice it, how they pull out the black card. You know what I mean? But it was Alan Bragg's, Letitia James, Stormy Daniels, and the list goes on and on and on and on. You know what I'm saying? Even when it comes to the voting machines and the voting ballots and all that, you see the same shit. You know what I'm saying? No justice, but straight insurrection based on attacking a standing president, and a president who's no longer in presidency because he has been, but he's a nominee and a candidate, but he has been literally cheated out of his position. You know what I'm saying? And we all see the fakeism, because when that happened, we saw all the other things that they were doing. It came 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I told you, like I said in my live, in my other video, I said that they were going to do that all the way up to 2024. Didn't I tell you that? And what are we seeing? It's going all the way up to 2024 and the campaign. To try to cheat, they're going to try to cheat the election again using this concoctional scheme of what we call a criminal attack on Donald J. Trump. You know what I'm saying? So we have to start looking at this in all ways, because the attack on Donald J. Trump is really a political insurrection by a president of the United States and his deep state oligarchs and whoever else may be involved in the situation against Donald J. Trump. You know what I'm saying? That's an insurrection. So I don't know what Biden and the Demon Democrats are really talking about, because when we look at it, it's an insurrection in itself against this man, because he was a president. You had a whole lot of shit you were doing the whole time to the man through his presidency, which is evidence. And even before he was a president, you still was trying to attack him, you know what I'm saying? So, and surveilling him and all types of shit, like they were surveilling Donald J. Trump, even though he wasn't a president, because what they were doing was trying to set him up with Stormy Daniels, for Stormy Daniels to blackmail him. You know what I'm saying? When you really look at it, you know what I'm saying, Judge Joe Brown is right. She kind of blackmailed him, because if he had to pay her to keep her mouth shut, you know what I'm saying, she blackmailed him. So the crime really is against her with him, you know what I'm saying, in all ways, because if she's a grown woman and can't keep her motherfucking mouth shut, you know what I'm saying, what good is she any fucking way? You know what I'm saying? And then, even after that, you know what I'm saying, you have the rush on the White House, you want to blame him for that when, you know what I'm saying, he wasn't there to speak for himself when it was going on. You made sure he never went back there. You know what I'm saying? You blocked him from going there to speak and see what was going on and what they were actually doing rather than what he had said to do. You know what I'm saying? Then when you didn't have that, then you had what else? You had the one in Fanny Nutcase, another black idiot. You know what I'm saying? You got Braggs, you got Letitia James, Fannie Wills. You know what I'm saying? She down there talking about what went on in her county, but really as a attorney general, she's full of shit because in her county, nobody got to check the ballots. Nobody got to truly see what truly happened in your state. We're only going off of what we see on television or YouTube. That doesn't bring any facts in the matter to the case. You see what I'm saying? That's only what you say it is, but you have not proven to the people that that's what it is. So we know in itself that could be a whole hoax as well. You know what I'm saying? But once you set a person up, how do a person weasel out of a hoax is the question. You know what I'm saying? So whilst they telling us what's going on down there with Fannie the Nutcase Wills, you know what I'm saying, and all these different charges against all these other people, they have never shown the people, you know what I'm saying, of America the truth. You know what I'm saying? And then when we look at the border situation, we see how they push all these people in the border, so we stay distracted fighting with these people, you know what I'm saying, and not paying attention to what's happening to Donald Trump. So everybody has to pay attention, close attention to what's going on with Donald Trump all the way down the letter, you know what I'm saying, and those who understand the trueness of the reality of what we need to do to get this country together, you know what I'm saying, is the same thing we might have to lean on the Republican side just to make sure that we clear this thing out. As Donald Trump said, he knows full well everything he's saying right now based on this country and having to save this country, he's going to have to do if he gets elected. That's a fact and point blank. He's going to have to do it because he's telling the people to their face, he's showing the people the proof, he's exposed them to the fullest of their ability, you know what I'm saying? And at the same time, you know full well they don't want to be exposed. So what they're going to do is try to set him up while they pull all their sneaky-ass plans around the Mulberry Bush. You know what I'm saying? Now, when you look at even that situation with the border and the flooding of our cities and all this and that and the third, now let's go over to Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? The Ukraine situation, you see what I'm saying? With Putin and Trump were friends. So, you know what I'm saying, based on political overstanding on what they're doing in foreign affairs. You know what I'm saying? Creep Joe Biden's son had no permission, and he should have had no right to be going into a foreign country, you know what I'm saying, and making foreign deals to bribe another country or to push another country into NATO, and then calling it an energy deal, hiding under the disguise of that name, and then come back to America, act like he never had nothing to do with that, which we know he did, and Zelensky was no more than a puppet in the same game along with the Biden family. You know what I'm saying? So what we see going on here, it's the same trickery. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what I'm saying? It still come out to the same order of things. Now, even when you look at COVID-19, same trickery. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to say there was a virus, there was this, there was that, and all types of bullshit. Okay. But they never proved none of it. Have Anthony Fauci sat down and showed the American public the concrete proof that masks works? Have he sat down and showed the concrete proof that the first vaccine that came out actually did anything good except hurt? You know what I'm saying? Have he ever proved anything good at all and shown you concrete proof other than telling you a story about messenger mRNA and this and that and herd immunity and all this different shit? You know what I'm saying? All that is garbage when it comes to the lives of the people based on the scientific facts on which he was presenting. You know what I'm saying? It did not show scientific facts based on the actual scientific facts that prove what he was saying in itself, in the provision of proving that. None of that happened. You know what I'm saying? It was all based on hearsay, you know what I'm saying, and propaganda. So when the people begin to listen to hearsay and propaganda and not the concrete proof and evidence and the actual note that they can understand what it is they are doing, There was no reason for people to be pushed into that situation by pushing them due to the fact of a quarantine and a quarantine mandates and executive orders. That's an attack on the people. That's an insurrection in itself. And then had the people believing in more ways than one that they would have to take it. How is that so? You know what I'm saying? When it came to something like that, that choice should have been up to the people, not the government. Not the government. Because, first of all, you're talking about a deadly virus. That's number one. There is no way that you would be able to completely vaccinate that if that was true, floating through the air or however it came in boats, ships, nursing homes, wherever. It still would have not saved. It still would have been worse than it is that they say that it is, because 95% of the people, think about it, before that, how many people were really sick? A lot of people weren't sick, but a lot of people now is probably feeling the effects and getting sick, slowly but surely. Because I told you that's the way it works. But you know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't want to understand that. You know what I'm saying? So by the year so and so and so, this many people go so and so and so. You see what I'm saying? You got to look at the scientific balance of the game and the schemes that they play. Now, I'm not saying in no shape or form that medical practice is bad. What I'm saying to you is medical practice needs to be checked. The same thing as Donald Trump is talking about the corruption in the White House. That also needs to be checked. You know what I'm saying? We can't check one thing without the other, because the backbone of the people is what? The health. Because if you don't have health, what good is your wealth? Because you're going to spend most of your wealth on your health. You see what I'm saying? So, what good is wealth without good health? Because if you ain't got good health, then you're about to go out, that wealth going to do for you. You know what I'm saying? So one of the main components of the United States and the people is their health. You know what I'm saying? Along with their wealth. You know what I'm saying? To be able to afford to pay for these things. But at the same time, when we look at all that took place, even during the pandemic, and him not explaining to us none of this, that forced the people into a corner using quarantine and executive orders and pushing people into this corner, was a ridiculous thing to do. And it showed a weaponization of the government and an insurrection on the United States of America. Well, insurrection against the people and an insurrection against the United States. You know what I'm saying? You could keep the other part. You know what I'm saying? The United States. You know what I'm saying? So when we look at that and all this up, and then we see even long after all this is done and said, you are still carrying on with the same accusations that you built up and drove off of COVID-19 and the rushing of the White House and the tearing up of the cities and the border and all types of other shit that you caused to have to create a persona that led into all that we see now. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, what we need to make sure of is that Donald J. Trump gets elected back into the office so we can straighten things out. Because at the same time, if you don't, you know what I'm saying, you're still looking at a nuclear war that in itself that can be negotiated and dialogued into a peaceful decision. We cannot have them constantly feeding our money and pushing a group of nations that join this criminal organization called NATO, and then having them, you know what I'm saying, feed another country inside the country that you claim is an enemy to you. You know what I'm saying? That is the enemy's brother, really, because they're both Russians, Ukrainians, and all of them, and they're inside the old Russian territory, and now you feeding them billions of dollars to try to knock out Russia. You know what I'm saying? So you're still pushing a nuclear war, but how many people understand a nuclear war? Keep asking the same question. What good would it be, and do you really want to see that, or is it the fact that you're living suicidal is my question. Are you a suicide baby? I don't know, maybe. But at the same time, we have to look at all of this, and everything that we're seeing based on the attack on Donald J. Trump is an insurrection in itself by government. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't understand why people would let a government do something like that. So now every single president that they don't like, you know what I'm saying, that wins office and they get scared that he's going to do this or whatever they call it, stuff he's going to do, you're going to chomp up an insurrection on him as well. You know what I'm saying? And this would be a damaging thing to the political process or the president process or the president himself, because if they're allowed to get away with that, then it becomes a dictatorship and a totalitarian government, Marxist, racist, and some forms probably of communists. You know what I'm saying, in itself. So we have to look at all these factors. You know what I'm saying, because this is why they're letting so many people into our country. It's keeping you distracted. At the same time, they're sneaking it in from all directions. So full attack on the United States people is in full bloom. You know what I'm saying? You can cure that by putting Trump in office this term to make sure that we straighten shit out and can get a clear view. Not only just put him in office, because it ain't just about that in itself. While he's in there cleaning shit up and we're cleaning up the country, the people need to put together their own candidates, especially black people, and start putting them forward in order for them to become, president of the United States and not be on the take of the deep state. You know what I'm saying? And that goes for poor whites as well. You know what I'm saying? We should have more heroes amongst you guys as well, but amongst the black people, you know what I'm saying? If we say we kings and queens and we rule the earth, then why are we not acting like that? You know what I'm saying? We out there acting like savages, even wearing shirts say savage. You know what I'm saying? When that was a name branded on us through discrimination, slavery, and all kinds of bullshitical discrimination against black people and killing of black people, they call us savages. You know what I'm saying? So you out there proving them right or wrong is a question. Right now, if you call yourself a king and a queen and black and African and you're proud to be all this, then why aren't you living up to the name of our people? You know what I'm saying? Great leaders, great kings, and great wealth. You know what I'm saying? And health and all this different stuff. You know what I'm saying? We busy running around here, looking at the creep Joe Biden and acting as if like he never committed a crime. You know what I'm saying? Even though his crimes are being investigated, it's not being glorified out front so we can see what really going on with the creep Joe. We keep hearing all this, and then they're trying to say, oh, you don't have no evidence, you don't have no truth. Whistleblowers coming forward and shit, and the whistleblowers are either being blackballed, put in jail, or even self-fucking assassinated. You know what I'm saying? This is what they're doing. This is almost like a Nazism, you know what I'm saying? Nazism, German Judeo type bullshit going on, really. You know what I'm saying? And we need to quail that in the United States, because that is not the United States and that is not a free state. You know what I'm saying? So they're slowly even deteriorating the very understanding of a free state based on what we know as a free state and the life in the world and the United States as we know it, while we're busy looking at other things. So this is Point Black saying we got to get it right, you know what I'm saying? And keep it tight, because we need more of you in the fight for the United States. And not just for the United States, but a global effect around the world that must be felt by all people now, because we cannot have this type of bullshit going on. So this is Point Black saying, I'll get back with you in just a touch.